It all started on a normal Monday morning, or at least it looked normal from the outside. My name is Lena Weiss, and I was working in a high-end corporate company where everything looked perfect from the outside, but nothing ever truly was. Glass walls, polished floors, people in expensive suits walking with fake confidence. It all looked like success, but I slowly learned it was just another kind of battlefield that morning. I stood in front of my mirror for a few seconds longer than usual. I wasn't fixing my appearance, I was trying to fix my mindset. Something inside me already felt off, like the air itself had changed before anything even happened. I told myself it was just stress, just another normal workday, but deep down I didn't fully believe that. When I reached the office, I noticed small things first. The way conversations stopped when I entered rooms, the way people smiled a little too quickly, then looked away just as fast. No one said anything directly, but silence has its own language in places like that. And that morning it was speaking loudly. I tried to ignore it at first. I told myself I was overthinking, that I was imagining patterns that weren't there. But then I saw something that made my thoughts pause. One of my colleagues was sitting at her desk with my project file open on her screen. The moment she noticed me, she closed it instantly. Too fast, too careful. Too guilty, I walked past slowly, pretending I didn't notice, but my mind didn't let it go. Why was my file open on her system? Why did she react like that? Something wasn't right. I could feel it building, like a quiet storm gathering before impact. That evening, I stayed late in the office. Most people had already left and the building felt emptier, colder. I was finishing my report when I went toward the printer room. That's when I stopped walking. Two senior managers were standing just outside, speaking in low voices. I wasn't supposed to hear them, but I did. One of them said, "We just need to make sure Lena doesn't get promoted next month." I froze instantly. "My name," the other voice replied. "She's too smart. If she gets that position, she'll see everything." Something about the way he said everything made my stomach tighten. Then the first voice continued, "Once we push her out, the project is ours. She won't even see it coming." I stepped back quietly, my heart beating harder than I wanted it to. This wasn't just office politics. This wasn't normal competition. This was planned, and I was the target. The next morning I acted normal. That was the first rule I learned without anyone teaching me. Never show them you know too much. Never show fear. Never give them the satisfaction of seeing you break. So I smiled. I greeted everyone. I acted like nothing had changed. But inside I was watching everything differently now. Every conversation had meaning. Every glance felt like information. Every silence felt like a warning. Then Clara walked in. She hugged me like nothing was wrong, smiling softly like she always did. "You look tired, Lena," she said, but her eyes didn't match her voice. There was something careful in them, something measuring. Like she was checking if I had figured something out. "I'm fine," I replied, smiling back. But I already knew she was involved. She had to be. Because no one looks at you like that unless they are hiding something. After that day, things started changing quickly. My project file suddenly became inaccessible, not deleted, not lost. Just quietly removed from my reach, too clean to be an accident. That's when I understood something important. This wasn't random, this was structured. Someone was controlling the situation step by step, making sure I was slowly pushed out without noise, and the more I observed, the clearer it became. Clara was always near the senior managers. Always present in conversations she didn't need to be part of, always smiling a little too much at the right time. It wasn't friendship. It was alignment. Then one day I accidentally saw a folder open on her screen while she was away from her desk. The name was simple. Internal planning. Something in me told me not to ignore it. I didn't open it, but I saw enough. My name was inside it, not as an employee, not as a colleague, but as a problem that needed to be removed. That night I couldn't think about anything else. I started connecting every detail I had seen before. Small patterns started forming. Conversations, file access, timing, everything pointed in one direction. This wasn't about promotion anymore. This was about replacement. They were preparing to erase me from my own work, but instead of reacting emotionally, I started working differently. Quietly, Carefully, I began saving everything. Every version of my work, every original idea, every timestamp. I built my own backup system outside their reach. At the same time, I stopped reacting to them. I let them move freely, pretending I didn't notice anything. And slowly, they became more confident. That was exactly what I wanted. Clara started asking small questions about my work. Too casual, too specific. The senior managers started pushing their version of my project forward, and I stayed silent, because silence when used correctly is not weakness. It is preparation. Then came the day of the presentation. I arrived early. The building was quiet, almost too quiet. I watched everything carefully, every movement, every face, every detail. They were calm, confident. That told me everything I needed to know. They believed they had already won. The meeting started. Clara presented first, standing in front of everyone with confidence. Slide after slide appeared on the screen. My ideas, my structure, my work rewritten and reshaped as if it belonged to them. People nodded. Some even smiled. They believed it, and I stayed silent until the end. When the senior manager stood up and started speaking about their achievement, I stood up too, slowly, calmly. The room changed instantly. All eyes turned to me. He frowned. "What are you doing?" "Sit down," but I didn't. I walked forward and said quietly, "I think something is missing from this presentation." Clara laughed nervously. "There's nothing missing." That's when I pressed a button. The screen behind them changed. Emails, logs, files, messages, everything appeared one by one. The room slowly went silent. Confused at first, then shocked, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I simply said, "This is the original version of the project, created by me." Before any of this existed, then I showed the planning documents, the discussions, the messages where my removal was being planned step by step. The silence in the room became heavier. Clara tried to deny it, the managers tried to speak over it, but the evidence was already there, clear. Undeniable. Everything they built collapsed in front of everyone, not through anger, not through chaos, but through truth. One by one, they were removed from the meeting. Security was called. HR stepped in. The room that once belonged to their confidence slowly turned into their downfall. And I just stood there, not smiling, not celebrating, just understanding, because in that moment, I realized something important. Revenge is not always about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about revealing what they already are. That evening, I stood by the office window watching the city lights. Everything outside looked normal. Life continued as if nothing had changed. But inside me, something had shifted permanently. I didn't need to chase revenge anymore. I didn't need to fight louder. I had already shown the truth, and sometimes that is the strongest ending there is.